It's the weekly show about rAVe with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.
Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday at noon. So as usual, I am here. It's rAVe TV. Usually Gary's here too. I think he's going to join in a few minutes, but honestly, it's going to be a surprise for you guys and me. So we're just going to see. I wanted to first just talk about launch week 7 really quick. We are kind of putting the finishing touches on preparation for that. It is next week, Monday through Thursday, March 6th through 9th. And I really wanted to highlight rAVe Day. That is going to be March 9th. 12:30 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So we are really looking forward to a few of the sessions we're going to have that day. One that I'm really excited about is Megan's session. She's going to be talking about end users and technology managers in our industry and the importance of their relationships with integrators. I'm going to host a panel on whether we are truly kind of living, surviving, and thriving in a live event renaissance, which is very exciting. And just continuing on, we have that link in the QR code that'll pop up in just a second, and all you got to do is scan that and you'll be able to register for any of the days. Don't forget that all 4 days are CTS RU certified, so each day is 2.5 credits, and if you come all week you get 10, so that's like a lot of what you need to renew. So I hope that you guys will come. Continuing on, we just posted our rAVe 2023 March version of the temperature check. So all you have to do is scan that QR code. We are asking questions about outdoor AV this month. We want to know whether that is utilized with your company, with your clients. We want to know what type, and we want to know if you are interested or on learning how it can be more utilized. We are also going to have an upcoming launch and learn just about that. So scan that QR code. All the information is there. And as usual, we will pick 2 lucky people who respond to win a $50 Amazon gift card. So even more reason for you to quickly respond to those questions. So we are going to go to a quick video from our sponsor and partner, Shure, and then I'm going to bring on a special guest, Sarah Abrams, when we come back. Welcome, Sarah. Thank you for joining our show today.
Hi, Steph. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So you wrote, as usual, I can always rely on you to, 1, watch every video that we shoot at any trade show, because you are the kind of final set of eyes on the titles that get put on those videos. And 2, you always write a piece on everything that you noticed on the show floor, because you see a lot that I don't see, because I just kind of walk around and you kind of see more of a deep dive of every product that's there. So go ahead. Sorry.
I was just, y'all really went gangbusters this year. It was a lot of videos to watch. Many hours of video.
I felt so bad by the end. I was like, we really just handed her 1,700 videos and said, enjoy. But so it is really interesting, though, because you pick up on a lot that I don't. So the first thing that you kind of noticed, even before I did, was there was a lot of advanced auto tracking options at this show, a lot of cameras that just had that capability. So when you first brought that to my and Gary's attention, you were like, look, this could be really interesting, because it could eventually affect jobs in the AV industry or in broadcasting, because do you really need a person behind this camera anymore? So do you think that that is eventually going to become something that we will have to deal with in AV?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a camera broadcast operator and I haven't worked in production, so I don't know all the various things that a camera operator controls. I imagine it's quite a lot. What I think the advanced auto tracking has done is a couple things. One, it allows more of those controls to be done remotely effectively. So you could have camera operators camera operators who are working just from production boards. And I noted that I only saw this a couple times, but I saw some live event production consoles that normally are used to control just audio or audio and lighting that had added camera controls to it, so that like one camera operator could be doing all of those things now, which was a lot to ask, but it is now possible. Two, I think a more interesting thing to focus on it's going to allow more people and within more applications to offer more advanced broadcasting options, especially via like presentations, lecture capture, like live education type opportunities, because there were products where like a person who is presenting live could also be their own producer. And also I saw a lot of things like software based and hardware that made it possible for people with less advanced training to still do pretty sophisticated graphics and broadcast stuff. So I think it'll be less expensive and more advanced things you're seeing for like schools, perhaps even K through 12, definitely higher education, and like online education opportunities, which I think is really a good thing.
No, that's true. And I guess like it usually takes a while for technology like this to filter into an education setting, because usually technology like this is quite expensive. So what we can usually expect is, okay, first it's going to hit like broadcast, then maybe corporate, and then a couple other verticals, and then education. But I found it really interesting that a lot of companies were touting the importance of how it could be used in education, and that this technology already there are watered down versions of it that you can get at not quite so high of a price.
Yeah, I mean, PTZ cameras have always been controlled remotely. That's like the point. The PTZ pan tilt zoom part is incorporated into the equipment and can be controlled remotely. But what I saw that was notable this year was advancements in the quality of those cameras. When they first came out, like you primarily saw them used for security applications, and then you saw them added for video conferencing and some lecture capture, but it was still, you know, more of a like budget choice, at least compared to the higher end, either like DSLR or broadcast quality cameras that usually require a camera operator. So that technology has come a long way. It looks much better. It's much higher resolution, higher like optical and digital zooms. But I did see one interesting product from, I can't remember the name of the company now, but they had a like PTZ-esque head that you mounted another type of higher quality camera on, either like a mirrorless or DSLR camera or a broadcast quality camera. So you could do the same kind of thing
without having the camera be part of the AI. That's actually really cool. Another thing I wanted to ask was, you noticed a really big trend in workplace management this year, and was really interesting to me because that's typically more on the like IT side of things, and now we're seeing that trickle into AV. How do you see this fitting into like the AV IT, whose job is this discourse?
Well, we've seen for a number of years room booking solutions, which fell into AV, although it was kind of a weird like mini vertical segment. We mostly categorized it at rAVe as digital signage because it followed that kind of technology setup with distribution and whatnot. But obviously display quality was not as big of an issue, so it could be clearly installed and managed by an IT team. So we've seen that for a long time. It exploded when hybrid became a bigger thing, which has obviously continued to grow. And so we saw more like desk booking. But what was noticeably different at this year's ISE were those types of more traditional AV-ish lines integrated into larger workplace communications systems that were hard to categorize. I mean, I guess they could be IT-ish, but they're not what I would consider traditional AV. They often incorporated room and desk booking, but they included other things that I've never seen at an AV trade show, like management of IT inventory, like mobile devices and laptops. employee communications that were pushed to personal devices was very common. And those are all like managed by software. There are some other things too, a lot more like data tracking and analytics. So, which we had seen before on like building management type stuff, where you saw how often certain meeting rooms are being used, the temperature, what features are being used, et cetera. But this took it next level to a wider variety of devices. And it was often incorporated into, yeah, a larger piece of like SaaS software, which is interesting. And I think end user institutions love it, but from my perspective, it's hard to see that being sold through an AV channel. Like, how's it going to be incorporated? Because you're talking about something that is ultimately SaaS platform based, but that might incorporate digital signage and UCC hardware into that larger system.
Yeah, it's just kind of, to me, it seems like it's kind of pushing forward the convergence a little bit, which I know that's like a little bit of a spicy topic, but I really do think that as it continues, we kind of are going to see things that are just simply both jobs, and that AV is eventually just going to be synonymous with IT, especially in like schools and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can safely say that things are pretty converged at this point, but it is
Yeah.
interesting to see how AV and IT interact. I actually remember Gary telling me years ago that one of the problems with like AV IT integration was that IT didn't want to be known as AV because traditionally IT is billed at a higher hourly rate than AV. So that was like making things weird in terms of a convergence. Like, they weren't totally equal on all of those fronts, even though, like, maybe I'm biased, but I think AV is very difficult and has lots of specialization that cannot just be straight up incorporated into IT. But
for sure,
you know,
I see kind of on both sides, like how that there are still those people who don't like being considered the other, and that point is very true about like who's like higher at a higher build rate. But I do think in the future it's just going to be one rate, because I think that, I don't know, I want to say traditionally AV as a field isn't quite as respected as IT, which also might be another spicy take, but I think that them converging will help push that forward a little bit more.
Yeah. One thing that continues to surprise me, despite the convergence and like the things coming together, is how little cybersecurity we see on trade show floors.
Oh my gosh, yeah. No,
it's hard to talk about a lack of something, but
yeah. Well, I
there's
told
not
you
much.
that I saw a few options for that, but most of it was like physical security, way more so than cybersecurity, which, like, you know, like when you're describing physical security, you have like something physical to show, like a CCTV, a PTZ camera that's supposed to be mounted outside, etc. So cybersecurity, it's like not exactly something you can like have something to show, but I didn't really even see any stands that had anything talking about it, or, you know, any literature or anything. So I don't know. I have high hopes that that will be something incorporated into trade shows in the future. The more physical security kind of filters into AV, but there's no way to say for sure. My final question for you, are there any favorite things on the show floor, or anything that like really surprised you in terms of like, oh, I really wasn't expecting to see this?
I don't know if I would say there were any surprises. I, of course, always have the videos that entertain me the most, or things that interest me the most, because DVD immersive applications are really cool. Not as cool on a 1080 video or 4K video than it would be in person. But after you watch like 25 of those, they're only so interesting. The coolest thing that I saw on the show floor, I talked about in my article, is the very last thing, and it was this. It's hard to even describe. It's this thing called the adapter, all one word with no space, and it's German, Natch, and it is like funded by a part of the German government, and it was a collaborative between several companies. But it is basically like a box and a piece of software that, when you look at it on the computer, it allows you to do a drag and drop interface, almost like if this, then that, like you do this, then this thing happens. But the point of it is to integrate like any kind of AV signal or real world thing that could be controlled in like an IT-ish environment, like melding AV, IT, and art. So, for example, you could use a piece of data, like say temperature fluctuations in a certain part of the world, and have that output as a light show somewhere 6,000 miles away.
Yeah.
It was really awesome. It wasn't demonstrated that well on the show floor. I went to the website for the adapter and looked at it, and the guy demonstrated it, like this hilariously kind of like nerdy IT guy demonstrated it by dancing in real life, and the thing like turned that into colorful, almost like strings on a digital display. Like it turned it into artwork, and we've seen sort of, you know, interactive things like that before. That was not what was interesting. What was interesting was the limitless application of it. Like you could take data inputs. Sorry, that's one of my dogs barking in the background.
You know, that's part of life.
Yeah. You could take any kind of data input, any kind of like person doing something, manipulating something, and it be output in any kind of way. It's like a whole new way to make art. You could make music that way. I mean,
that's cool.
It was such a cool idea, and the possibilities are limitless. Yes.
It's so crazy. Like it reminds me a lot of the work that rAVe Anadol does. I don't know. Hey, Gary.
Hey.
I don't know if
Gary.
you're familiar, Sarah. He was the keynote speaker at ISE last year, and a lot of what he does is incorporating like AI into artwork and like make visualizing data in a way that's beautiful. So it sounds really similar to that, which is just
it could
crazy.
be used in corporate applications for cool data visualization, but it also could just be used for artwork, live events. I mean, it really goes back to all that experiential thing. It just opened up a lot of doors for what's possible. And it seems like you wouldn't need as much like high-end expertise in something immersive to potentially make something interesting happen. Gary, you and I haven't actually talked about that as my favorite product. I wondered if you looked at it. And
you know, it's funny. The only reason why I didn't include it in the awards and also in the replay is the video we shot wasn't good. Honestly. It was like less than a minute, and the guy he was not a good demo. He didn't do a good demo.
Yeah.
I don't think he demoed it at all. He just talked about it.
Yeah, it is a great product, and what I think is cool about it is that it can generate randomized shows. Is probably the best way to say it. Like literally, you could have. It is rAVe Anadol-ish, Steph, in the sense that what rAVe does is he generates art from data.
Right.
Which this could do, and it sort of dumbs that down.
Sure.
But what it also could do is, like Sarah said, you could just say, okay, we're going to do something cool today. We're going to be a class in North Carolina, and we're going to be connected to a school in Australia, and it's nighttime there, and we're all going to do an art project, and we're going to shoot this art project, and the output is going to be shown in Australia as a piece of art by doing projection mapping on the side of the school. So the thing is that you can automatically generate art, not through AI, but through the actions of something random on the other side of the world. I think is kind of what you were saying as an example, Sarah, which I think it's interesting because that product, I think, has a lot of power to it. That software, I should say, has a lot of power to it. And I think it'll be interesting to see companies integrate it.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was so cool that you could take some random piece of data like rain patterns in Madagascar and have that output as something else. But it could also be used to simplify certain things that would be really useful in AV for actual like information communication. Like you could take, is it raining or is it not, or might it be raining, and that have it change the color of like a digital billboard that is showing weather news from a local TV station, like the LED backlights would be green, yellow, or red.
The lights inside of a building.
Yeah.
Because when when it starts raining outside, it gets dark in a building. You could literally have it slowly, as it's getting darker, raise the level of the ambient light so that people don't notice the change as much. And because that does change attitudes, that changes emotions. when you sort of like, and I think that's the practical application is sort of like, there's this philosophy of if you take a prison and paint the walls purple and pink, the prisoners will be more passive, right? You take that concept and you use, light and color to change emotions or change how efficient somebody is, right? Because, some people are more efficient with brightly lit colored environments, are more creative, and some are, want to be in the dark, like Anne-Marie likes to work in the dark. So you could literally
control systems have been doing this for a while, but they had to be manually programmed. Like there's been scenes, there's lighting that follows like circadian rhythms, but that's actually a really good example of how this could make something easier or simpler or more customized for an end user or a more entry-level integrator if it gets.
It's going to take a systems designer to realize what it does. It's not going to be the average AV.
Sure, but you could create these scenes theoretically without it having to be like pre-built into a control system, which is how it is mostly done currently. I think one exception is like there are some light bulbs that can do the circadian rhythm stuff, but besides that, you need a brain. This could be a brain that's more customized.
And by the way, I loved your article, Sarah, on your review on ISE, and also thanks for doing all that you did. I mean, I don't know that Steph mentioned this to the viewers, but you literally watched every single video that we shot at the show. So that is a hell of a task, considering that we don't actually know how many we shot. We know we shot more than 1,750 and less than 2,000. So we're not sure what that number is, but you watched all of it.
Yeah, we had some tracking challenges. It was a lot of video.
It was a lot.
We have some data issues. We'll figure it out. And really, we don't care as long as we get them all out there. It's really But,
I mean, I really enjoy like attending trade shows this way. I certainly miss seeing all my industry friends and like spending time with the rAVe people, like traveling, but seeing the trade show purely through the videos is a way to hone in on the technology without any of the other distractions. So I don't know, it is like the second best way of doing things. And I see way more than I would if I was there in person.
But
like,
by the way, there's one
video
that I want to know what your opinion was, and I loved it. And I don't think we've even published it yet. I think it's being held back for something else. We shot a video on LG using transparent OLED in a wayfinding application in a mall. Did you watch that video? Have you seen that video?
There were numerous transparent.
It was on a robot,
which was,
you wouldn't have missed it. It was on a robot mounted vertically. And I actually did an interview kind of the robot. And I think we're holding that video back for an article I'm writing on transparent OLED. I think that's why it's not published. But we need to have you watch that, Sarah, because it was really cool. Because it used wayfinding in a transparent OLED, and the robot would turn and then draw an arrow based on where you're standing, where you need to walk to.
Okay.
So
yeah, that sounds really cool.
One last question I have for you that's completely unrelated. Are you watching The End of Us?
The Last of Us?
Or The Last of Us. Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, no, because I don't like post-apocalyptic stuff. It seems like it could potentially actually happen.
Yeah, I don't need
scary.
This one's not going to happen because it involves like underground zombies. But you know what's really cool about that series is pretty awesome, and it's great storytelling. But for those of you who don't know, it's based on a video game, and the actual HBO show is following the video game perfectly. Like, the story, everyone's in love with the story, but they're shocked that the story was actually told in a video game like 9 years ago. And so
if that's the case, this is the first like good
actual adaptation,
cinematic or TV adaptation of
it's really good.
A video game. They're like
historically usually
bad.
The video game is phenomenal, and it literally the same story. There's a few differences. It's told from the standpoint of the little girl in the video game, and the little girl's more of a badass than she is on the TV show. But it's really like pure storytelling. They've added a few scenes in there, but
a few friends of mine at dinner last night were trying to convince us that
you definitely should watch.
It's really good, so maybe we'll have to.
And by the way, it stars the Mandalorian. Pedro Pascal is the star.
I love him.
And by the way, today season 3 of the Mandalorian debuted on Disney Plus, literally 10 minutes ago, so you can actually go watch it now.
Wow.
See, I
okay.
think of it as starring the badass like 12-year-old warrior from Game of Thrones.
That's true. That's right. That's right. And include the girl, the little girl, and Pedro Pascal actually were both on Game of Thrones. So,
Yeah, he was on it too.
yeah.
I've never
not as
seen
much.
that show, actually.
Game of Thrones.
Well,
Okay.
now we're going to get into like
Awkward.
a black hole of nothingness
Okay,
if we start talking about
yeah.
Game of Thrones. But we got a sponsor we got to talk
Gary's
about.
telling
Okay.
us to move on.
Yeah. All right. Thank
Go
you so
ahead.
much, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, I'm sorry I was late, Steph, but I was literally on on a video with our friend Justin Kennington from the SDVOE Alliance, and literally lost track of time. We were talking about the future of AV over IP and lost track of time.
I should have known.
Yeah,
I should have known. It was Jay Kinney behind it.
You can get mad at him, but anyway,
yeah, I'll text him later.
Sorry to mess up.
Anyway, so Gary, let's talk quickly about Chief's Voyager mobile cart. So this is from our sponsor and partner, Legrand AV. This is a cart that includes flexible conferencing, collaboration, and more. It has a built-in cable management situation and a small device storage area. It also accommodates displays up to 75 inches and 175 pounds. And really important, flat panel displays can be mounted in portrait or landscape. So there's a lot of options and ways to use this. Gary, this is like right off of your case crystal ball talking about why isn't everything on a cart? Well, now it can be.
Yeah, and I think that collaboration boards are going to be used more if they're on carts that are wheeled around rather than mounted on a wall. I like this. And I think it does a really good job sort of emulating the best looking collaboration display, which is the one from Microsoft Surface Pro Hub, whatever they called it. But of course, not very many people bought that product, but it looked the best. So I think they now take and make it where every product can look that good on a cart like that. And I think the cart also accommodates the battery backup as well. So I think that's another option for it.
Yeah.
But
well, I wanted to ask, Audio Technica came out with the BP3600, which is very interesting looking. It's a microphone.
Well, it's an immersive microphone set. So if you're at a concert hall, and you know how when you sit at different, like when you're sitting in a concert hall, the music isn't coming from the front; it's coming all the way around you because they design these things in a bowl kind of thing. Well, you set that in the best seat in the house, and all of a sudden, when you're playing that back, if you have spatial audio playback or you have immersive audio capability with one of these higher level surround sound systems, you're going to get that kind of audio. It's the way that you would record. It's like putting in the hands of a professional AV tech the ability to do that kind of recording that was previously only done by studio technicians. And I think that's where they're going with that. And also it's cool because it's come in a little small kit and you can kind of create your own. It's great for rental applications. It'll also be great for
like sporting events. Yeah.
So
very cool.
Yeah, it kind of makes you feel like you're inside of it as opposed to watching it from afar.
Got you. I was like, this is a very futuristic looking
contraption. 8 microphones in one, and they're pointing all different directions. So it's
like I think it was like a hypercardioid capsule in it as well. So very cool. Talking about Jabra now. Jabra launched the Speak 2 speakerphone range. This has got voice level normalization. It's basically just the newest product in Jabra's Speak lineup of professional speakerphones. But this new range has portable devices. It's basically made for hybrid work to be taken with you, brought around. Gary, this is something that we've kind of talked about before. How I was like, I wonder if companies are going to start making products with both in mind, and now Jabra is.
Yeah, I mean, I think this ups the game a little bit for anyone who's working from home. I think that this is a good product for work from home to make your microphone sound better. If you don't want to get a nice professional microphone from someone like Shure, then you can get that as an option. So it's a little tabletop piece and allows you to do audio conferencing. I think any place in an office space where you're doing audio conferencing nowadays, there's also video. So I think that those combo products are more likely to be used in those cases.
Very true. Continuing on, our other sponsor and partner, Aver Pro AV, wanted us to tell everyone to visit at two upcoming events. ATA 2023, which is the American Telemedicine Association. That is March 5th and 6th in San Antonio, Texas. So if you are in the area, you can go and visit AVer in booth 781 to see connected health solutions with its PTZ cameras in action. Also, AVer is going to be at the Exertis Alamo E4 in Dallas, Texas, March 7th. So you can stop by AVer Pro AV's table and learn more about its video conferencing lineup. And then all you got to do is scan the QR code there, and that gives you a little more information about how you can register for either event. And speaking of that, Gary, Exertis Alamo came out with its Alamo E4 lineup recently. So
yeah, one thing that they're doing this year is you can register for all 4 events
cool.
now up front, whereas you used to have to wait for each event to be announced. So now we're going to Dallas next week, then we go to Santa Clara, then we go to New Jersey, and then we go to Phoenix. And you can actually register for all the 2023 events. Scan the QR code, we'll take you to a link there. You can register for all the E4 events, or you can go to e4experience.com. If you're in the Dallas area, I'll be doing the keynote next Tuesday. If you're in the DC area, I'll also be keynoting an event for Planar. So, check that out as well. So yeah, I'm excited about next week's going to be a busy week.
Next week's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
You said last week that you thought that I would pick this as my case study of the week for this week, and you were correct. I wanted to talk about the Adele concert. She used L Acoustics L ISA technology, which is basically just another version of like isolating and creating immersive audio to create her tour and concert series. And this was because like her songs are made to be listened in a very, like, she's just not like a stadium like type person.
Her songs are meant
her
to be
songs are
felt as well as heard. And I think they did a good job doing that with this sort of immersive experience where you get a deeper sound and a more, I think immersive audio is going to change the world of concerts, because
for sure.
It used to be, definitely when I was younger and went to a lot of concerts, you would go, that was really cool to see the person, but the audio was terrible. Like it just was just loud. And sometimes some singers aren't good in person, like they're not good live. And then they don't sound as good, like not just can't dance, but also don't sound as good live.
Or like if it's a really intimate style of artist and it's supposed to be some kind of stadium tour that just like messes up the whole way that you're supposed to listen to it. Yeah.
Or Fleetwood Mac. How about that? Have you ever heard of them, Steph?
Yes, I've heard of them. I have heard of them. Stevie Nicks is coming to Raleigh in like a month or so. Did you know that?
Fleetwood Mac t-shirt. I did not.
I am.
What about Fleetwood Mac? They're not coming. Just Stevie Nicks is coming.
Just Stevie Nicks is coming.
That's the sound of. That's like,
that band is no longer together. I don't know if you knew that.
I heard they broke up. Yeah,
they broke up. It was a very messy breakup because but it created this great album. So very happy about it. But yeah. Well, I think that is our show for this week. Next week is going to be an interesting show because it's going to be right before launch week, but we're going to make it happen. And Gary, it's also going to be our 100th episode, right?
Yeah, it's going to be number 100. And, it's amazing that we've come this far, huh? We're still really together doing this show.
We're still, we have not, our band is still together. We're not like Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will see everyone next week. And don't forget, every week, Wednesday, noon Eastern, you can watch us on ravepubs.com, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, and am I missing? LinkedIn.
And by the way, Steph, did you notice I left you a scooter and I charged it up for you?
What am I supposed to do with that?
It gives you a ride to the new office so you don't have to walk.
I'm not riding that. Like I say that with so much love in my heart. I will not be riding an electric scooter.
Gary said that you were going to ride it from between offices.
Well, I guess that she was telling a story because I will not be doing that.
I even charged it up for you.
Well, I appreciate that, and I really say that with so much love in my heart. But I do not ride electric scooters. I am a very clumsy person.
Well, this one's a battery operated. What about that? Would you ride a battery operated?
No, still no. If I'm riding a scooter, it's going to be a good old fashioned analog style Razor scooter from 2008. So that's what I will be riding. All right. Well, there's our show. It's another episode of rAVe TV. Gary and I will see all of you next week. Thanks for watching.
It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary.